Donald Trump just did his biggest podcast of his entire political career by sitting down with Joe Rogan. And today we're going to be looking at the Electoral College Map post interview. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video with On Point Politics. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you guys want more content just like this. And so Donald Trump is gone on Joe Rogan, the first time that this has ever happened in his near decade long political career. And I have a feeling the reason why this happened is because the timing was perfect for it. Joe Rogan felt like it was a perfect timing, but also his campaign feels like this is a pretty good time to do this because they may be feeling fairly confident. And the president's going to be going to Virginia, New Hampshire, Minnesota, even possibly even New Mexico in the last week, which means the campaign sees the same thing that I'm seeing, which those states are in fact toss-up states and they can really go either way. Guys, Donald Trump is essentially winning the 2024 presidential election, unlike last time where Biden did win the 2020 election. We see that this is a completely different political environment, and the former president is going stronger than ever as of right now. Looking at this Gallup, polling, this is something I like to pull up because it's very indicative. It's very historical. There's a lot of data behind it from previous years, and we see that the former president right now is very favored based on these metrics, and they've been polling these metrics since 1948. The party identification is Republican +3. It's accurately predicted the popular vote very well. My own polling average, which reweighs all the polling data to the target electorate and correct polling ID, we see that it's a Trump +3 lead, a Republican +3 lead, which is the same thing I have. US satisfaction is at an all-time low. Economic confidence is in the negatives, in the 20s, almost 30 negative. Party better able to keep America prosperous, a 6-point lead for Republicans. Party better able to keep America safe from international threats, 14-point victory on that. And we see here, the popular vote has been tracked pretty well by this Gallup metric. And we even see over here the economy and immigration. Republicans lead by 5 points. And these are the two most important issues of the general election as of right now. And Republicans have a lead as of right now, which is very fascinating. And every single metric that has helped predict the presidency here using all these metrics, including Biden's low favorability rating, this all shows that the former president is on track to win the 2024 election and can actually win in a somewhat modest electoral landslide, unlike what some of the political pundits will tell you. And so, looking at the electoral map, as of right now, Donald Trump is winning Idaho by a safe margin, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, all of Nebraska, except the 2nd Congressional District, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, Missouri, as well as the state of South Carolina. That's going to be added into the safe column. Alaska will now be in the safe column. Kansas, Alaska will now be in the safe column. Maine 2nd is now safe, including Iowa and Ohio will now all be in the safe Republican column and will all go for Donald Trump by over 15 points in this video. And we even see that these states were about 8-point wins, almost 15, 12 points, 10 points, 7 points, but there is a huge dynamic shift in the electorate where Donald Trump is performing better with all demographics. And this is where you're going to see this occur quite a bit, especially with, Appalachian America and white working class voters. You're going to see all groups of Americans just shift Republican this year due to the vast change. If you're going from an R+3 national environment, from a D+4.5 national environment, you're going to see some drastic change in the map when you have that much of a Republican shift. Now, looking at the safe Democrat states, there isn't that many this cycle. California is a 19.5-point victory for Kamala Harris. Hawaii, about a 17-point win. Maine's 1st Congressional District is about a 15-point victory. Maryland, just a 23-point win for Kamala Harris, with Massachusetts being at 24. The District of Columbia being a 72-point win for Kamala Harris, and Vermont just coming in at 28 points for Kamala Harris in this forecast, just giving her 86 safe electoral college votes. This is way less than what Joe Biden had. He had about 181 safe electoral college votes in his corner in the last election. And so this is a big problem for Kamala Harris. A huge enthusiasm gap is being shown. And even when you look at the early voting data, it is a very big problem for Kamala Harris as of right now. Looking at the likely Republican states, Texas is a 14-point win for Donald Trump, Florida about 12 points, Georgia 6, Arizona 6, Nevada 5, North Carolina 8, Wisconsin 7, Pennsylvania 7, and Michigan by 5. So again, I do have to update the polling averages for the swing states to see where they all land on election day. But as of right now, the states have remained pretty consistent in the model, and Donald Trump is crushing Kamala Harris in these states, and it does give him the electoral college victory that he needs to get over 270. Washington and Oregon, as well as Colorado, are in the likely column. Washington's about a 12-point win. Oregon about just a 9-point win. And Colorado coming in at just 7 points for Kamala Harris. Not an impressive victory, especially since the state voted for her by 14 points. So something interesting, there is a lot of Hispanics in Colorado, and a lot of people don't like to talk about that. And so that is actually what we're looking at. Colorado may actually be a little bit closer than people were expecting. Illinois, the same thing. Just an 8-point win in Illinois only. Only an 8-point victory in the state of Illinois. Chicago is going to have a massive movement to the right. This is actually one of the states that basically stayed stagnant or moved slightly Republican due to the gains Trump made in Chicago. And you're going to see some huge trends in a place like Chicago come on election day. New York, about a 12 to 13-point win in this forecast, as well as Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, and New Jersey all being in the likely column, with New Jersey remarkably in this forecast being just a simple 6.6 percentage point victory for Kamala Harris, which is a very, very smaller margin of victory compared to the 16-point win from the last election. So that is something very fascinating to look at there. And so when we have the true toss-up states this cycle, those being New Mexico, Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine at large, and Nebraska second, the most Democrat out of all of these is Virginia, coming in at 2.7 percentage points for Kamala Harris. I may be overestimating the leftward trend here, and it's possible that it is actually competitive, or that it even flips to Donald Trump. It is on the table for him. Quantus Insights just released a Harris plus one poll. Their recall vote was spot on. They weighed all the demographics properly. Donald Trump, in my polling, is coming really, really close, or at least my own projection. He's within 3 points in the state of Virginia. That's effectively a margin of error, and we haven't gotten a lot of polls out of Virginia, and that may be inflating her margin in the state of Virginia. So something very fascinating to see there. So it is on the table for him. I mean, it is possible that he does pick it off. He could, especially with Glenn Youngkin. That may actually reverse the trend in the state of Virginia. If it were to actually trend Republican, it could very easily go into the former president's column, but there is a lot of work to be done in the state. But it is on the table, but I do think as of right now, he will not win Virginia. Nebraska's second congressional district is a lean Democrat district. This district has been trending left off a cliff. However, the model does have a little bit more of a left-leaning Nebraska second district for whatever reason. When I test it for 2016, it does actually get Nebraska second to be a Democrat district, which is pretty interesting. And we even see here the last four states as of right now, Maine at large, just a tilt margin for Kamala Harris, almost a point for her, but it's effectively within the margin of error, and they haven't polled it very frequently. And I hope we get more polling, because there is a possibility he does actually pick off Maine at large. He could actually pick it off, because guys, when you look at the way states break, Georgia and Arizona were the surprise states in 2020. In 2016, New Hampshire was unexpectedly close, and Michigan flipped. If you look at 2012, Obama kind of held on to, Florida. If you look at, 2008, you saw he flipped Indiana out of nowhere and almost won Missouri, because when it breaks at the end for somebody, when they win and it kind of just goes to them at the end, sometimes it's hard to catch the movement of how hard it actually breaks to them at the end, especially with Donald Trump. Even in 2004, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna George W. Bush isn't gonna win the popular vote," and then he actually won the popular vote, which so that's interesting. He ended up winning it by like a couple points. Even in 2000, Al Gore was expected to win the popular vote by a bit. Bill Clinton, these were expected to be a little bit more wonky. Some people thought Ross Perot was going to win a few states, but when the winner wins, it always breaks in one direction because the certain demographic group of non-college whites is such a large demographic. When the winner wins, they tend to improve with that group quite a bit from the last election. And so when Donald Trump wins this election, he will in fact have a surprise state. He is going to pick off at least one of the till Democrat states, or at least one of the states of New Mexico, Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine at large, and Virginia, given the fact that he's improving so much with every single demographic. And to end off the video, New Mexico, Minnesota, and New Hampshire are all in fact flipping in my forecast. They're very close. A lot of the new polling has suggested, and a lot of the polls that are falling out of the aggregate, that are old polls that are falling out that were more liberal, and we're getting some new polling out of New Mexico, New Hampshire that are more Republican leaning because the results are a lot closer, and we see that they flip in our forecast here. Now, I will say, my polling averages for those states, we don't have enough polls. We really don't. We do not have enough polls to ensure that these will be 100% accurate. But when I go back and look at my 2020 aggregates, even if a state had two or three polls in it, the margin was still predicting the winner of the election. It's just the margin was a little bit skewed, but it does end up working out in my model at the end. And so Donald Trump is at the point where he is winning the election, and since he's winning it and the winner tends to kind of just break all the states at the end, this is what you're seeing develop in the Electoral College as of right now. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.